Thank you, Councillor Kramer. Councillor Pragnell, would you like to speak?
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor, I would. Firstly, can I welcome you to your office of Mayor in this chamber with all the traditions and great history that go with it. I'm sure you will prove to be an ornament and a great successor to previous mayors. Can I first of all start by thanking Councillor Birch firstly for giving us advance notice of the programme, and secondly for his kind and sympathetic words about Charlton Athletic. I fear it will take several seasons after last week for us to get back where I want us to get, but I thank him for his thoughts on that. In the past, Councillor Birch has always demanded vision from us when I was in that seat, which I thank Councillor Birch also for keeping warm for the next 2 years. I read through this when it came round, and I'm delighted with his vision because it's clearly what we've been doing for the last few years. With one or two exceptions, it's already happening. It happened under 4 years of Conservative administration here. I'm delighted with much that's already there. He spoke about how delighted he was that Hastings had elected a socialist council. Again, it's interesting to see he's talking about socialism again. They didn't during the Blair-Brown years, but maybe private grief should not be interfered with. And you'd think that so many wonderful things had happened in the last 13 days. All these wonderful things that were happening. I was with Councillor Birch this afternoon at the Station Plaza Health Centre, and for some of the time we toured it together. He's right, it's a magnificent facility, and if you didn't get a chance to go and see it, I urge you to, if you can, go and have a look round. But it wasn't built and funded in the last 13 days. Now, I'm going to say now what I said when I first took my position as Leader of the Opposition 5 years ago. Much of what you're proposing to do, I would say that now because it's what we were doing, much of what you're proposing to do, we support. And where we support you, we will say so, and we will support you publicly and enthusiastically. Where we disagree with you, we will make sure that you know we disagree with you. We don't have the votes yet, but if we think things are particularly wrong, we will cast our vote to show our disapproval and disapprobation of it. Now, I'd just like to go through some of this. It's a very long document, so I can't say too many things. I'm going to pick some things out. I've got a very interesting, shall we say, I don't know if it's a dichotomy or whatever. Under the Greener Hastings, the last item on the first page, Councillor Birch has put that we're going to cut CO2 emissions in Hastings by 10% in the next 12 months. Well, he's a bit late. If he remembers, his motion, beefed up by us, we've already started the 10-10 campaign. Work's been running for some time in the council and in the town to do that. I'm wondering how a 20-mile-an-hour zone in Hastings, with or without speed humps, is going to reduce carbon emissions. Lower engine speeds, higher carbon emissions. So we're going to have to think very hard somewhere else to offset those increased carbon emissions before we even start reducing emissions. Also, something I absolutely agree with, which has been 100% cross-party as far as I know, and I urge Councillor Birch to follow up, is the item under the accessible Hastings on keeping up the pressure for the Link Road and the Baldslow Link and the improvements up the A21. I'll repeat for the first time of a few this evening what I said at the County Council 2 days ago. I had the privilege over the last 2 years of being on the A21 reference group, a mouthful which covers every MP, borough, district and county council up the A21 corridor, which campaigns for rail and road improvements along that corridor from Hastings to the capital. I'm not on it anymore, sadly. I hope very much that Councillor Birch will play his full part in that, and I'm absolutely convinced he will. Of course, with the extra cars coming into Hastings, CO2 emissions go up. I have to bring them down. Personally, I have to say that I want the road improvements. Equally, I want the rail improvements as part of your offsetting. It's going to be a long, hard battle over rail. Members will have received, I think, all members received something from Councillor Locke yesterday or today, which was a letter that came from an official at the Department for Transport, which is a hugely more conciliatory over the rail services than anything that came from Chris Moles, the Under-Secretary of State, whatever he was, for Transport in the late unlamented government. So, a glimmer of hope on our rail services. We need to magnify that glimmer to an absolute beam of hope. Right, let's continue, if I may, with some items here. He mentions something which is not in itself a bad thing, about statutory status for allotments. Well, there's a waiting list, but at the same time, there are spaces available at allotments. The only reason there are waiting lists is because people on the list actually want to be at a particular allotment, not the ones that are available. And whether an allotment is statutory or not, if it's not available, it's not available. And you tie your hands with statutory by making allotment statutory. Well, I'm sure Councillor Finch, who is twitching and doesn't like the fact that I'm saying this, will have more to say about it at a later moment. Jerwood. Again, something that is entirely cross-party, has been cross-party ever since they first came to speak to us, the Jerwood Foundation, and what a pleasure it is to see all the work going on in the Old Town.